the most shameless women on paternity court.
She came dressed in her clear hooker shoes and this. She's in clear shoes with money still in them. And
okay, that was for decoration.
Went out and cheated on him. It was to find security and comfort because
I know what comfort means. I've been doing this long enough, and I'm a woman.
Your heart will undoubtedly ache to watch Mr. Matthew Threlkeld. And if you ask why, well, it has to do with the way his wife treated him. Let's start with this question. What was Matthew's wife doing at home while he was out serving his country? Sleeping with 20 men!
Mr. Threlkeld, you have entered this courtroom with a marriage on the brink of divorce. You state that while you were out of the country serving in the military, your wife paraded around town with other men, and she has admitted to cheating multiple times.
And this is why the plaintiff is here in court to present a case against his wife, Brittany, to Judge Lauren. Most importantly, he wants to confirm if his 18-month-old daughter, Liliana, is even his. After all, it's his right to suspect the girl's paternity after what his wife did behind his back.
You claim you are not sure if you are the father of her third child, 18-month-old Liliana, and have asked the court for a paternity test.
Yes, ma'am.
Damn, this mommy has absolutely no shame. How could she ever cheat on her loyal husband like that? Even Judge Lauren is pretty shocked. The biggest shocker? Brittany lies that Matthew promised to divorce her. He was even going to send her divorce papers. It seems like she's coming up with all kinds of lies to excuse her shameless behavior.
To entertain these type of messages on your Facebook, and you've admitted that you had a few indiscretions. What is going on?
First of all, we were done. We were not together. We had a phone conversation, and he had said, we're gonna get a divorce, and I'll send you the divorce papers. And then we hung up.
But the worst thing that the defendant did was when Matthew came back from Afghanistan and she came to pick him up in skimpy clothes, she was dressed, to simply say, as a hooker who had money falling out of her dress pockets. Now, that puts poor potential fathers in a difficult position.
The day I was supposed to come back home from overseas, and not my father, my mother, my wife, so like I said, we'll quote that, weren't even there. We get there, I'm sitting there under a street light.
Did she eventually pick you up?
When she picked
Yes,
me up,
I did.
she came dressed in her clear hooker shoes and this. She's in clear shoes with money still in them. And
Okay, that was for decoration.
So, now Brittany and Matthew have 3 kids, and because of all the stuff that she's done behind his back, Matthew highly doubts that the last kid belongs to him. Because of that, he had to make the difficult decision to opt for a paternity test just so he could reveal the truth.
In the case of Threlkeld versus Threlkeld pertaining to 1-year-old Liliana, Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father.
This duo had been having a pretty rocky relationship over 8 years, until suddenly, Kelly decided that she just wants out. According to her, the defendant had been unfaithful to her and started doubting the paternity of their kid. But who's telling the truth here? Is it Miss Hadel who's in the wrong, or is it Mr. Andrews? There's only one way to find out.
we have had a rough road throughout these 7.5 years. 9 months into our relationship, he impregnated another female. I moved to Kansas and got away from him. We then started our relationship back. I had planned on having another child with him, so I did get pregnant. Umbrella came, and I think the doubts came because she looks different than our other child.
Kelly starts her story by saying that the two of them have been having an amazing time together for a while, but then she started to get suspicious. It turns out that baby daddy might have been sleeping around, but did she have any proof to support her statements? Whereas on the other hand, the defendant believes that the kid's not his because his wife had been the one sleeping around.
Same person who I see this text message from is the same guy who she was having an affair with all along from the whole get-go. So when I seen that text message, my whole thought process was, it's gotta be his baby.
Who jumped out the window?
She did.
I was trying to get free from him.
But see, the whole
He's
thing
crazy.
is, she leave the house every time. It's always when a private car comes, or it's after 3 a.m. That's the only time he able to get away from his wife, so-called.
What?
That's it.
So, after he told his side of the story, everyone's pretty convinced that he's the guy who's been wronged in the relationship. No matter how much Kelly tries to pin the blame on him, the evidence against her is much stronger. Now, what does she have to say in her defense? Will she own up to her behavior, or will she make more shameless excuses?
Were you being a good woman and you admit that you were on the phone with men, getting text messages, going out?
This was after 7.5 years. Like, this stuff built up. It was more or less, you're doing this to me, I'm gonna do it back to you.
He has 3 other children outside of the relationship?
During our relationship.
Even Judge Lauren is pretty shocked by all of this chaos. She asks the courtroom in great shock what kind of relationship this is. Kelly keeps going behind Maurice's back, and when Judge Lauren confronts her, she smiles and says she did it for her comfort. Absolutely shameless. This woman just won't stop.
I apologize, Your Honor.
She told me 2 other men was daddy.
His mouth,
which
from the time I wake up in the morning till the time I go to sleep, does not stop. And all he does all damn day is talk about how bad of a person that I am. Went out and cheated on him. It was to find security and comfort because
I know what comfort means. I've been doing this long enough, and I'm a woman.
On top of that, Kelly dared to tell Maurice to his face that she thinks their kid might have been conceived because of someone else. But it doesn't stop there. She ends up talking about how there are 2 more potential fathers. It leaves Maurice pretty heartbroken, but he decides that this selfish woman doesn't deserve anything from him.
But I'm not bringing that up. It's not about that. It's about Amarella knowing who her daddy is, and I know who her daddy is.
You said 2 other guys was.
I never.
All right. Let's get some order, because you all aren't going anywhere.
No.
I know one thing. You all sound like you're like 16 years old.
Trust me, I know.
Arguing back and forth, and you got these little beautiful children. How you have time to make babies because you don't stop talking?
Well, it seems like there's only one way to settle this matter. Kelly claims that Maurice is the father of their kid, even though she'd been cheating on him with multiple people. Meanwhile, Maurice has had enough, and all he wants is proof that he's not the father. With that, it's time to skip to the big revelation and lay the matter to rest for good.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Andrews, you are the father. You have tears in your eyes. How do you feel in this moment?
I love her regardless. It's my daughter's sister, so it didn't make me no difference if I was or wasn't. I just wanted to prove.
Oh, it didn't.
Mr. Mason and Miss Malone have been having a lot of marital troubles because Mr. Mason caught Miss Malone in the act of cheating. Thus, paternity doubt, while the girlfriend claimed that there was no reason for denial, and the plaintiffs need DNA proof.
Mr. Mason, you say today will determine the future of your relationship with the defendant, Ms. Malone, and discovered that she had men coming in and out of the house while you were at work. And now you believe 1-year-old Avery is not your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Malone, today you are hoping the DNA test will restore your relationship.
Yes.
This woman's got real guts. It turns out that the two started dating online, and when they met, they just knew they had to take the relationship to another level. But once they moved in together, baby mama showed Mr. Mason her true colors. He was shocked and heartbroken. According to the alleged father, he wanted to work on these issues because of how much he loved her.
We met on a website. I took her out on a date.
And then somewhere along the line, it started getting a little wishy-washy?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened?
I found out that she was doing a lot of sneaking around when I was in the house.
What kind of sneaking?
Going through the alleys, meeting people.
In the alley?
In people's cars. But I'm there for the kids because I still love Miss Malone.
Then, a couple of months into the relationship, a friend of Mr. Mason told him that he had caught his wife sneaking around with strange men in their cars. Now, that's not very fair to the guy at the podium, but he knew he couldn't do anything until he had proper evidence. So, he decided to become a detective and launch a proper investigation.
You said she starts sneaking. Tell me what happened.
I had somebody tell me that she was going out the back door and down the alley to jump in somebody's car.
When your court papers, you went real detective.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened?
I had a friend watching my front door who lived right across from where we lived at.
Oh, you had a watchdog, right?
Yes, Your Honor, every time I went to work.
And the worst part? All of this cheating has made Mr. Mason doubt if his daughter Avery even really is his. That's why he's in court today, just so he can know for sure if he is Avery's biological father. Because after all, the defendant told the entire court that she was having relationships with multiple men while she conceived little Avery.
When you told Mr. Mason you were pregnant, did you also say to him, and you know because I cheated, it could possibly be the other guy's child as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
She did tell you that, Mr. Mason?
Yes, Your Honor. I had to find out about the other guy from waking up out of my sleep. She found the other guy on a website and how much Avery and the other guy and the other guy's child looked just alike.
Once Mr. Mason found out that his wife's pregnant, he decided to take the game into his own hands. Guess what he did? He went and told every single one of Miss Malone's family members that their daughter was pregnant and the child wasn't even his. How shocked everyone must have been to be dragged into all the drama of one shameless woman.
Your Honor, I had anger for the simple fact that I was working all these hours trying to provide for my family. And she's sneaking with different guys in and out of the house.
And that hurt you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you made an announcement?
I just announced that she was pregnant. While her mother was present, Your Honor, I announced that she was pregnant. And I may have said that she's not mine.
Then, even Miss Malone's mother is brought into the courtroom to explain her side of the story. She staunchly defends her daughter and doesn't want Mr. Mason to be the father of Avery. Well, she should be scolding her shameless daughter, but that's not the case here. And the most shocking part? Miss Malone's pregnant again.
Do you believe Mr. Mason is your granddaughter's biological father?
No, I do not, because they were on a break when she was conceived, and I knew that my child was seeing someone else because they were on a break. To me, she doesn't look like him.
You don't seem like you're a fan of Mr. Mason.
No.
Okay, it keeps turning into a lot of cheating anecdotes. It turns out that it's just not in Miss Malone's bones to be a loyal woman. She had a man who was willing to give her everything, but she threw that right out the window by being a very shameless person. Now, there's just the results to see who is Avery's true father.
In the case of Mason versus Malone, when it comes to 1-year-old Avery Malone, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are not her father. What are you feeling in this moment, sir?
I'm mad, Your Honor. I can't be really mad about something that I already knew.
Scotty and Tiffany have been fighting for a long time, and the fight has been about the paternity of their beautiful little daughter, Zaylee. Baby daddy believes that he's the one who's Zaylee's actual father, but Tiffany refuses to let the defendant spend time with the little girl, all because she really hates Scotty.
Here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rasmussen, why is Ms. Miller saying you're not Zaylee's father?
Your Honor, I believe it's just out of pure hatred.
You say she hates you. Why does she hate you?
She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
So it turns out that the reason the plaintiff really hates Scotty is that because when they were together, ex-boyfriend cheated on her multiple times. Even he admits it in front of everyone. Well, at least he owns up to his mistakes. So why does Tiffany take it out on their daughter? That's not fair to the little girl.
He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor. Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
I mean, if he's driving 160 miles each way every other weekend, the money he would get in his taxes, he's spending in gas.
Scotty's been trying everything to be close to his daughter. He's the one who drives from one state to another to come spend time with her, and he's even paying for Zaylee's child support. Even Judge Lauren is shocked why Mommy doesn't let him spend time with the little girl.
Clearly, at some point, Mr. Rasmussen either thought or was informed that he was her biological father because he is paying child support, he's still driving 160 miles each way, and she has his last name.
Yes.
But Tiffany has her math to add here. According to her, she kept a check of all her dates, and they say that when Zaylee was conceived, she wasn't sleeping with the guy at the podium. She had been intimate with someone else, and by her logic, it isn't possible at all that Zaylee is Scotty's daughter. Well, that sure confuses me more than it clears things up.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to me why.
When she was conceived in March 2011, he was in Vegas. At that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me because he cheated on me.
I'll be the first to admit it was a mistake.
So, after all the back and forth, it's still pretty unclear what exactly is Tiffany's problem with Scotty. Here's a man who's willing to do everything for his daughter, even provide for her and drive so many miles just to see her and take care of her. Yet Zaley's mother insists that he's not the father. Then, who really is the father here?
In the case of Miller versus Rasmussen, when it comes to 3-year-old Zaley Rasmussen, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller, that's a lot of nerve.